Well, good afternoon, everyone. As several outside observers have noted, including former Democratic leader Tom Daschle, the Senate is indeed getting back to work. There are some encouraging signs that lots of people are noticing. As you all know, we had 15 roll call votes on amendments last year, the entire year. We've had over 100 so far this year, roll call votes on amendments. We are very close to being able to pass a balanced budget for the American people. That's another indication that dysfunction is going away. For the last 5 years, the Democratic majority didn't pass a budget. To show you how unusual that was, only one time in the period from 1974 down to 5 years ago did the Senate not pass a budget. In addition to those items, we have queued up a number of things that we are going to be able to reach bipartisan agreement on. Trafficking, which I'll ask Senator Cornyn to give you an update on. We're going to move to the Lynch nomination. Then we'll go to the Iraq nuclear bill that came out of the Foreign Relations Committee unanimously. We have in the queue an elementary and secondary education bill that came out of that committee unanimously. We have a cybersecurity bill that came out of Interior 14-1. And we believe tomorrow the Senate Finance Committee will report out an important trade promotion authority bill, which will give us the opportunity, give the administration an opportunity to wrap up the Trans-Pacific agreement, which has been under negotiation. And I think particularly important for Republicans. We're hoping there might be a president of a different party a year and a half from now, and this is a TPA that goes for 5 or 6 years, thereby providing an opportunity for the next president, should he or she want to be an active free trader, to send agreements up to us and get them approved. With that, let me turn to Senator Cornyn.
Well, thanks to Majority Leader McConnell and his willingness to persevere on the Justice for Victims of Trafficking Act, it looks like we have a path forward. We're trying to work on a short list of amendments, and hopefully final passage of this by tomorrow at the latest. Just to remind everybody, before this debate got hijacked, we were focused and are still focused on the victims of human trafficking, typically a young girl between the age of 12 and 14 years of age. And resources have always been a problem. No safe place for them to sleep and be protected from their abuser or trafficker. And what this fund does is it creates essentially a crime victims compensation fund, which provides those resources that can be made to faith-based organizations, other organizations for grants to provide what their needs are. As you know, part of the discussion had been over the Hyde Amendment, and this creates essentially 2 streams that go into one fund, but we've basically maintained the status quo, which has been the law of the land for the last 39 years on all appropriation bills, that the Hyde Amendment would apply. But we're hopeful that we will be able to move forward here very soon. I want to also thank Senator Grassley, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, for making this a priority, in addition to the Majority Leader, and thank all of our colleagues on a bipartisan basis who have made this progress possible.
Well, it has been just a little over 100 days since the Republicans took control of the Senate, and I think our majority is making a significant impact and a significant difference here. We've now passed 12 bipartisan bills, and most recently legislation that would strengthen Medicare for seniors and doctors. That passed by a vote of 92-8 last week. And a couple of more bills are teed up this week. We're going to have, hopefully, coming out of the Senate Finance Committee, a trade promotion authority bill that we will put on the floor that's very important to our economy. It's important to farmers and ranchers and manufacturers, small businesses, and to workers in this country. Since 2009, export-related jobs have created, or I should say, export-related industries in this country have created 1.6 million jobs, and those jobs pay on average 13% to 18% more. So it's important that we get this done as soon as we possibly can and add it to a list of accomplishments that is growing by the day. And when Republicans took control here, getting Washington working again wasn't just a campaign slogan. It was a commitment we made to the American people, and we are following through on it.
During the last campaign season, we told people all around the country, if you gave us the opportunity to govern, we would do so in a bipartisan way. And now, 100 days into this Congress, what we're seeing is the preliminary reports coming in, and they're very positive. The bipartisan policy group, which has former Republican and Democrat leaders, have come out with their Healthy Congress Index, and they actually talked about a burst of energy in the new Senate. And they did this based on a number of things. One, just total number of days worked is up from previous Senates. What they've seen in terms of regular order, that's up. The number of bills reported out of committee is way up. And then just in terms of votes, the number of amendments voted on, Republican and Democrat offered amendments, is larger than it's been in previous Congresses. This is just part of our commitment to work together to solve problems for the American people, to respond to things that are important to them. And as we've heard from the leader, the list continues to grow, and I'm going to soon be introducing a bipartisan bill on the waters of the United States to protect our environment, but as well as prevent the EPA from running roughshod over farmers, ranchers, small business owners in terms of puddles, ponds, and areas that the EPA believes they should take control. But in a bipartisan way, Congress thinks the American people should have a say.
Well, one of the issues we'll be dealing with in the next few days will be the level of Senate involvement in the negotiations with Iran. I would say that since the framework was announced, it does seem to me that those negotiations continue to be moving publicly in the direction of Iran. The framework was there will be no sanctions relief until we see a lot of compliance. Suddenly, that's negotiable. It appears that everything is negotiable if the Iranians want to negotiate it. I think it's going to be an interesting debate. One of our topics has been whether or not the fact that they are sponsors of terrorism should be part of this discussion. I can't think of a similar time when we were trying to negotiate with somebody on one issue and talking about intercepting weapons that they might be sending to Yemen at the same time on a supposedly unrelated issue. I think it's hard to treat the conduct of Iran as if one hand in Iran doesn't know what the other hand is doing, or that these negotiations are going every single day, as they have since the beginning, more in the direction of what Iran wanted and less in the direction of what we said we were going to insist on.
Last November, I was elected by my Republican colleagues to a position that would necessarily be somewhat more political than other members of the leadership. That said, I want to take a moment at this juncture to say a word for bipartisanship and to give some credit where credit is due. For example, to Senator Hatch and Senator Wyden, not only for helping to provide leadership and break the logjam on a major Medicare reform that we've been crying for 17 years, but also for moving forward on the trade promotion legislation and giving us the light at the end of the tunnel there. To Senator Alexander and Senator Murray, his ranking member, for crafting a bipartisan education reform bill that has a real opportunity to move our system further. To Senator Corker and Senator Cardin for doing as we've just heard, and making sure that senators, elected representatives of the people, actually have a say in the Iran negotiation. And also to Senator Feinstein and Senator Burr for the progress they've made in a very important cybersecurity bill. During the Easter break, I was approached in Oxford, Mississippi, by a very sincere constituent whose major issue was the fact that the Loretta Lynch nomination had not gone forward. And I assured her that while I would not be voting for the confirmation of Ms. Lynch, I felt that her confirmation would go forward soon, and that we were simply trying to be firm so as to break a logjam. I hope that that constituent and other constituents are paying attention now and would acknowledge that the firmness of our leadership has given us a situation where we have broke the logjam on the trafficking bill. We can move that this week with an open amendment process, move to the confirmation of a new Attorney General. And so I would salute the chairs and ranking members whose names I've mentioned, but also I want to salute this leadership team for being firm when we had to be, but for creating an atmosphere in this new Senate governed by a Republican majority for the first time in 8 years, where bipartisanship can break out and has in fact now broken out, and accomplishments can be made for the American people. Good government and good legislation, I believe, are good politics for both parties.
I want to get your take on this discrepancy in terms of the administration's estimated breakout times. As you probably know, the president's been saying for several years that Iran is about a year or so away from a nuclear weapon, but according to Bloomberg, the administration's own classified estimates puts the number closer to 2 to 3 months, which is now the figure that the administration's using. Are you concerned about that, especially as it comes while they're making the hard sell on the nuclear deal? What do you make of that?
Well, what I make of all of this is apparently for the next 3 months or so, we're going to have a lot of interpretations from both the Iranians and from the administration about what the deal does or doesn't do. The good news for the American people is the bill, the Corker-Menendez bill, is going to give us an opportunity to see whatever the final agreement is. And we've heard sort of daily interpretations by both sides about what it does or doesn't do. And for myself, I've just decided to listen to all of that, but in the end, we're going to have the deal. And the administration will have to provide us all the details in order to get the deal approved. And I'm going to withhold judgment. I don't, frankly, like the looks of the deal much, but we asked for the opportunity to get a chance to review it. We're going to get a chance to review it, and before we vote on it finally, we're going to know the answer to all those questions.
Senator McConnell, do you believe the only way to finish the trafficking bill was to tie it to Loretta Lynch's nomination? And do you, looking back, are you happy with the way that strategy worked out?
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Do you think that was the only way to get this done, though?
I'm happy with where we are. We needed to finish the trafficking bill. It was an important bill. It was hung up on an issue that everybody understood initially. You followed all this for an endless period of time. I said from the beginning to the end that we'd take up the Attorney General nominee just as soon as we finished trafficking. Yeah. Well, I think the way the Senate's being run is very popular with a significant number of Democrats who come over to me frequently and say thank you for changing the way the Senate is operating. So we've given them an opportunity, and they've taken that opportunity. And so I think they do deserve some credit for it.
Are they being less obstructionist than Republicans?
No, the difference is I'm taking up bills and they're open for amendment. They took up bills and they weren't open for amendment. You take up a bill, fill up the tree, file cloture, score a point, and move on. The majority gets to set the agenda, gets to decide, the majority leader gets to decide how the bill is going to be conducted. I don't see any equivalency at all. And the majority sets the tone. The opportunities have been given to the minority to participate, and I'm glad they're taking advantage of that.
After trafficking, after Lynch, you said you want to go to Iran. Can you sketch out what you hope to get done in the rest of this work period and this confirming Loretta Lynch?
I'm not going to lay out the order, but I've already listed the bills that are out of committee on a bipartisan basis, and those would be candidates for consideration between now and the Memorial Day break.
Does having Loretta Lynch confirmed make it easier to make progress on all that?
I'm sorry?
Does confirming Loretta Lynch, does that make it easier to make progress on those?
we're going to make progress on all of these bills. They are obvious candidates for consideration. Okay.